if we have a mic. Go for it. Go ahead.
Thanks. We know it may be pretty tough right now, but if possible, could you share one of your greatest moments with Kobe under the spell that you competed against for many years? If you can kind of recollect, give us one of your favorite moments competing against him.
That's impossible. You know, I've known Kobe since he was 15 years old, and I was 16. Playing AAU basketball, and we go through 18 years of competing and talking junk and about to fight each other, and congratulating each other, and hating each other, enjoying each other in 18 years. And it's tough to pick one, and you know, I don't want to disappoint you when I come up with one, but I mean, one of the ones is, I think, playing against him for the last time, I say in Memphis, our last battle. Just remember talking with him during and after, because we didn't have a lot of conversation during the game often, and if it wasn't friendly. Even though we played against each other, and that's what I enjoyed, and that's just what it was. But I think just talking to him, and just, you know, I remember asking him, was he ready to retire? He said he's ready. You know, I was like, how are you going to handle it? You know, after 20 years of doing something, you know, how do you handle it? I said, I'll be okay. He's ready, and he said he can figure out. Move forward to when we had a conversation in New Jersey after the game. Kind of revert back to that conversation, and I was like, how is it? He's like, he said that he was the happiest he's been, and you know, getting the opportunity to see his kids, his girls grow up, helping his daughter figure out the game and understanding how he understood it, and you can see that in her game at a young age. And the next thing we talked about was, he asked me if I was ready, and it was if I was ready to handle it. I was just, I'm back and forth with it all the time. And he's like, you'll enjoy it. It's peaceful. And he said that's when he said he was at his happiest. And he said we'll connect soon and we'll talk about it and how the steps that he went through to be at his happiest and comfortable with retiring, obviously. And the last thing we talked about is that we want to continue to do whatever it took to the best of our abilities to take care of our daughters in whatever they want to do and support them because of the stage and the icon that he is. He's able to put all that aside to give her the attention, or them, all of his daughters, but Gigi in particular, the attention she needed to become the basketball player that she wanted to become. So, it was crushing to me. And I know Trey will come up and he has the stories, and everybody kind of has their stories. But 26 years of knowing that guy, and to find out in our team meeting, and he just blurted it out. I was like, our meeting's done. I was like, am I reading what I'm reading? And you go through people. You go through the 20 years of Kobe's career, and you think of how many people in the world hated Kobe because of how great he was. And you get to that last game when he scored 60 something points, and everybody's like, I love Kobe Bryant just because. It's amazing what he did in his final game. And I think the world grew to love him even more after retirement because of the love he started to show different people. I'm talking about kids in college, Trey, obviously his last tweet to LeBron, just his interactions, and you can see a man who was such a fierce competitor at peace when he was sitting there, when he sits there courtside now, because it's not the Mamba competing against whoever. It's dad teaching his daughter how to the ins and outs of the game and how he sees it and how she can learn to break the game down. That's what I saw, and I think that's what a lot of people can see, and I think that's where it catches the basketball world off guard more than anything, because we all saw it. And for those of us who played against him, who knew him, I think that's what kind of was gut-wrenching more than anything, because of his happiness, because of that conversation I had with him, telling me, he's like, I'm at peace, I'm happy, I'm at my happiest. All these championships he's won, MVPs, 81, he was at his happiest in retirement. So it made me feel good to look forward to retirement, just hearing that, and that's where that conversation was. And I was asked that question before, have I reached out to guys and who were retired, like, man, I hadn't done that. There's a few people that I had planned on, like Kobe, and that was kind of the last conversation, right before we gave a hug, and love you, brother, see you soon.
Well, Vince, it's kind of a two-part question. You touched on a lot of it already from the humanitarian side, looking at that evolution over the last 26 years. What was that like for you to kind of see that up close, going from just him being a basketball player into an NBA ambassador and a humanitarian? So that's my part one.
Well, to see, like I said, see him in 15 is not far different from him at 25 and 35. To be honest with you, he had the mentality that he was the best or was going to be the best. And, our AAU team was unfair, but it was fun. And he still had the mentality. I mean, we played with the Tim Thomas, Rip Hamilton, myself and Kobe. And, it was, I want to be the best, even though our team is great. And just kind of see him just move on to the NBA and develop that mentality to a 10th, 12th power and become the guy that he is, which puts him in a well-deserved debate.
And we've not really seen in this generation someone who goes just not, beyond the U.S., but a world presence, if you will. So I don't know if you had a chance to talk to the guys a lot, but can you share anything with us with what you were able to say to your team about the loss of someone who, like I said, transcends just the game of basketball?
Honestly, this may be something a conversation that I may have later on. I couldn't before the game. So, but I think it's well documented what he's done for the stars of stars today. I mean, it's well documented, obviously, hearing LeBron's interview after his historic moment, what he's done for players of all magnitudes, of all levels. I mean, you can see the lives that he's touched to current college players. So I think it just speaks volumes and speaks for itself, like who he is and where he was as a person in his retired stage. I think like he was just, his heart was just pouring out for everybody, and he was just willing to help anyone. And you see him as a competitor, but he didn't really talk to many people. And you see him afterwards, like he was more than approachable, more than willing to help you, the player, maybe not become the Mamba that he is, but the best player that you can be, and just give you the groundwork for it. So, and that was kind of my thing for him. I mean, here's a guy who's been 4 years, going on 5 years. This is 5 years now away from the game and the retirement, and it's new ground for me. So who better than to ask a guy who's done it for 20 years? And that was kind of the plan. So it's just mind-boggling.
Vince, up here on the left, front row. Like you said, you had a pretty unique relationship with him, both incredibly fierce, but also strong mutual respect there. I mean, how unique is that among the relationships you have with players, and even going back to when he was 15, what struck you about him when you guys first
His drive. Point being, his drive to be the best was just, you could see it. And you remember we started into one of our tournaments. He gets in late, and he's playing and it's like he was already there. He demanded the attention. He wanted to be the best. So, you know, I think for Kobe, it's just, you know, the funny thing about it, and this may be going off of your question, but, you know, I know for players that have played against him, you know, it hit us, you know, in a special way. But it was interesting to see, and I mean, I guess you understood it, but it was interesting to see the effect it had on some of the guys who were barely born when he was in the NBA. And obviously, he's a hero of a lot of them. And if you weren't, you had a high level of respect for him. So to kind of just see, you know, the blank stares on their faces, which brought a somber mood in our locker room. You know, very little was talked about game plan in basketball because it was bigger than basketball, and you know, it was interesting for me.
And following on the relationship thing, was there a time where you went from I hate this guy to I love this guy to I hate this guy again? What was it?
I mean, it was all through our career. I mean, you know, I played in 8 All-Star games, so I think it's kind of, we let our hair down there. It's like, hey, you know, ha ha ha. You can see, I mean, there's some, you know, every now and then I come across a couple pictures where you see us talking and smiling to each other, and then there's a couple pictures where you see like, we're like right here, finger pointing and or whatever. So, you know, it's all in, you know, all how the game is played and the love of the game. And at that time, that's just how the game was played. It was a fun time. I mean, you had to bring it. You know, one thing you knew about that, he wanted the challenge of the best player, and he wanted to outdo you. And if you weren't prepared for it, you get embarrassed. So, you know, and as we tended to get older, near the end of our career, the last couple of years, our conversations tended to change, more friendly, especially his last year. Extremely friendly, fun, and it was still like laughing and joking, but I'm still trying to bust your ass. These last words to me.
Vince, how tough was it to go out there and play the game?
For me personally, it wasn't easy. Like I said, it's just, you know, I understand our jobs, you know, and what has to be done. But like I said, this is a friend of 20 plus years, and to talk to him and hearing and seeing, but hearing his happiness is, you know, what made it tough. Because I know he was happy, he was in a great place. Like I said, he's taking his daughter and her teammates and all, you know, just to experience the game, different levels, different atmospheres, how guys handle different situations. Just knowing him, and I can just see when he's pointing, what he's saying to her. So that was a tough part. You know, I kind of want to just sit back. If I had maybe an hour or two more, I'm like, all right, you know, we must go on. But it was tough.
Thank you, Vince.